Hello, everyone. Welcome to join us in this Artist Talk as a warm-up event for the 2025 Taipei Arts Festival with the theme Reeling Hyper-Reality, which will take place in the following September. If you need further information, you can check it online. And here's a reminder, today's talk will be conducted in English, but you can switch it to the Mandarin channel. I think you can also find the link below. So before we begin, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is 𝗛𝗍𝗍𝗿𝗍𝗶, a freelance theater critic, translator, and writer in Taipei. But I have to say, actually, I got this mission at the last minute. But I'm really excited. I think it's such honor for me and also for the Taiwanese audience to have the world acclaimed Indonesian artist Melati Suryodarmo with us today. Melati is from Indonesia, just like what I've mentioned before. And she is known for her durational performance, and she has been one of Indonesia's most significant performance artists for the past several decades. Maybe later we'll have her to talk about her artistic training and background. But anyway, this year at Taipei Arts Festival, she will be presenting a piece called LAPSE, which addresses the chaos of contemporary society in a collective sense through body movement, visual imagery, lighting, and sound design. So, hi Melati. Selamat pagi.
Hello.
Selamat pagi. Is it a
Selamat
language? So it's a language we are
Selamat
using in
pagi.
Indonesia. Selamat pagi.
Yes.
So do you want to say hi to the Taiwanese audience online?
Hello, my name is Melati Suryodarmo. I'm here from Solo, from Java Island. I'm very happy to be joining this talk this morning and meeting you online.
Great. So I think I'll begin with our talk today. LAPSE is a work commissioned by Acclaimed from Singapore, Asian Toba in Melbourne, and of course Taipei Performing Arts Center in Taiwan. And it is also your first choreographic work where you are not the performer on stage. So could you share with us how this piece began?
So basically, long time ago, I was trained as a traditional dancer since I was a child, and I grew up in a dancers family. My parents both are dancers, and but significantly, I have been very interested into the corporeality, the body work, and the method of Buto. And so, but for many years, I was also trained beside Buto dance and choreography. I was basically trained by Marina Abramovich in the practice of performance art. So for many years, I began my career with solo performances that happens in gallery and museums, and also using my own body for like 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, until 12 hours, 2 weeks, long durational performances, which is actually based on the conceptual work of body. And since 2011, when I moved back to Indonesia, I used to live in Germany for almost 20 years. So I start going back to Indonesia in 2011. I go back to my hometown in Solo, and the environment of visual art is very few here. So I was thinking to share my studio and to share my space to work with young dancers and choreographers. So I share my studio with them and we train together. I try to again rediscover choreographic works. So, but I was not so confident because 2011, from the begin, like almost 10 years, I did not really dance in a way like in the dance theater or in a dance stage. But I use my body continuously, involving the element of movement and also especially the technique of Buto, even using it in the context of performance art. And so I I try some experiments with dancers to make choreography where I was not involved on the stage. This is to reduce my presence, to take out my presence, and to borrow other bodies. So how would it work? You know, when my idea is being placed into other bodies, and who are they? Who are the dancers? Are they like, you know, they are not just a tool, they are human. And how we collaborate, how we, you know, like merging together between my thinking, my idea, my choreography, and their original body. So, because for me, dance is very important. If I work with dancers, the dancers can also develop their senses, they develop their interpretations, they develop their sense of space and movement. So 3 years ago, 2023, Esplanade has given me a lot of opportunity to develop and focus on this dance production. And so I took the opportunity. I feel honored to get the opportunity to perform my piece at the Esplanade, and later on this year, also co-commissioned by 𝗛𝗆𝗿𝗿𝗶𝗍𝗶, we performed this piece in Melbourne. So for me to work with dancers without me on the stage is like to do a kind of tuning, always tuning. Even when they perform on the day of the performance, when they're on the stage, I feel I'm with them, and not just let them be, but I'm also, you know, like kind of tuning our senses. My presence is not um, completely there, but I think dancers that I'm working with are really, how do you say, representative of my inner soul. So it took a long time to rehearse this and to do this process, especially because this work was started in 2019, and then I plan to perform in different places, including in Japan and Taiwan that time also. But then everything is cancelled because of the pandemic. So I did the version of film, but still it's not like as completed as the live piece what you will see in Taipei and TPAC in September.
Thank you. And to follow up, the title of the work, Lapse, actually carries multiple meanings, including a temporary value, mistake, or simply a period of time. So, can you tell us more about the concept behind the creation of Lapse, and how was it inspired by your observations on the contemporary society?
Mm. So Labs is actually a title that I've been looking for the right title for this piece, because this piece is actually based on the chaotic situation in our society. And I'm not thinking, start thinking from the big range of thinking, but I did a lot of observation uh, on our daily life in my surrounding here in Indonesia, at the street, at the market, at everywhere where public are, you know, the public spaces. And chaos means something that is uh, un, unorganized or disorganized, or they become very chaotic. They become very significant in terms of power of energy of disorganized. So labs is something that is actually a potential to create this chaos. It's like a trigger to enter the chaotic situation, or to create a chaotic situation. Then I found out situations that are actually probably not as scary as I thought, but it is a new system. For example, on the street, in the traffic, how a mother carrying a baby in a motorbike, and then then I thought about how can a mother risk in a very high risk their own children on a motorbike without helmet in this chaotic traffic. So then I asked again about the value of life. And then I asked again, the question continue into how we take care of each other in this chaotic situation. But then I took my time. I was not too quickly making a conclusion, but I try to understand that probably this system that we call democratic system is not in our really not in our culture, not in our in heritage culture. So because we come from a feudalic aristocratic kingdoms, and then after the Second World War we declare our independence. Indonesia declare our independence and call ourselves as Indonesia. But this archipelago actually consists of many kingdoms. So actually, our customary community today still keeping the hierarchy, the leading of a king, like this kind of a feudalic system that is absolutely probably in opposite of the very democratic system. But it's a long history of colonialism that make us like this, and it's hard to put like an idealism that is not coming from our own resource. So understanding about safety and death and the value of life is totally in a different category, in a different perspective or point of view. Later on, I understand that if you are in a traffic, you just don't follow the traffic rules. You just be careful and be on the street together with other traffic users and take care each other. It means if someone saw this woman with children, then automatically everyone who drives a car or motorbike, they slow down. They protect them and really slow down, and then carefully taking care of this lady with the baby. So in many cases it happens like this, and that's a very simple fact in our daily life here. But I think a long, long, long history of our relationship with the nature, including how the humans are moving in this nature, are most valuable philosophy that we actually as human has no power towards the nature. So the nature is not just the forest, the plants or like that, but it's the whole universe that has its cycles and has its timing, its own timing. So the position of human is not merely is not like the idea of conquering the nature. So this is how we also relates, with uh, with our volcanic nature, for example. So with our earthquake, with our tectonic earthquake, with tsunami, with anything that can suddenly happen and appears in any time, at any time. So the value of death and our desire to survive in this life is always being confronted, because we are, let's say, I don't want to extremize to say it's a time bomb, but it is, like death can come anytime. So not just about taking care and safety, insurance, or whatever. I think in this economical level of my country, in this nation, I think uh, we are closer to either to the belief of of to the nature, that our faith is also decided by the nature, not only by the God, but of course by the God's will, because we are very religious and very, how do you say, we believe in the the higher spirits, yeah. And so I guess LAPSE here, what I present in the dance choreography, is taking the idea of a daily life that is not necessarily connected to each other, but it is a picture of the real reality. So that from the traffic situation, from the outside in the market, we do the bargaining, we meet people, we don't know each other, we know each other, we buy same thing, different things, like a lot of transactions happening in the market, for example, is also a bigger picture of this nation. So some trader put a higher price and some not, and they compete. So market, even in a traditional market, is also a symbol, or a picture of how people are actually communicating, and is a strategy of living. So I like um, I like to observe gestures and to sense situation, how people actually relate to each other or not relate to each other. So not only one side, but also the other side. And so also like the resource of life and the cause of death. And it it can be, I learned from a lot of, not all, but from especially Javanese mythology, that influenced my view of how to see how to see the world, actually, how to see our life now, our condition now in this world. And so many things that I thought, oh, actually very, very good inspiration, very good knowledge, a very useful knowledge, but is forgotten, because of the, not only because of the colonialism, but especially today because of uh, chaotic digital communications, that you make me feel like I know you because it's a very nice presentation on this screen. It feels you're very close, it's less than 1 meter, but I don't know you, I did not know you before. And we speak like this as if we are, we know each other already long time. So it's amazing because there is like almost no distance. So how this digital power, the IT, yeah, information technology, social media, and everything that is now per second, you can see what happened in Palestine. You can see what happened in other part of the world, in immediate reality, virtual reality, but also um, algorithm. Through the algorithm, it can appease. Like you can choose the real reality or the manipulated reality. So they appear at the same time and almost uh, convincing people. And mm, and then where do we stand is our question. Where do we stand now? So if you want to think something big, and how we move, definitely not only from social media. Right? So because we miss that alive, we miss that life relationship, in a way. Yeah. But people think they're smart. We are smart. We can be very smart. Very easy to be smart, or to be informed, or to be intellectual. And through AI, you can improve your language immediately in a very, various style, you know. And I don't know. Then what is human power in these correlations? So different level that I'm still trying to understand, but definitely through labs, I try to go deeper into understanding actually what is actually our most significant, essential way to relate with nature, with our ancestors, with knowledge of the past that empower human to relate with the nature, with human, and the higher spirit. Actually, these three elements is being used in the history of culture, where like customary community are still trying to keep their ceremonies, their rituals with many symbols, and so on and so on. Yeah. So labs is presenting a different level of chaos, probably the history of chaotic situation of today. But basically, I enter the very the nearest environment that I have encountered.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Since you mentioned it, I think there was a tsunami warning earlier this morning, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I agree with what you've described, the charming energy of chaos. And for me, I believe you also believe so, that chaos is about the interrelation among many different things, about to bring different
Mhm.
things together. And in labs, you
Mhm.
collaborate with sound and lighting designers from Singapore, from different
Yeah.
backgrounds. So the audience will not only feel how the live sound flow with the dancers, but also a dynamic and powerful soundscape on stage. So, and the lighting that responds to history, nature, and how we imagine the future. So could you share with us how you developed these elements and put them together on stage together? And how do they function in the work? What can the audience expect through this kind of
Mhm.
experience?
I love to work with live musician, live music. Um, I've worked with on opera with new music, so it was very special. It's not just an orchestra, but it's an orchestra of an ensemble of a new music. And I like the sometimes the human failure or the human life element that is uh, that if we repeat the performance, it will not be the same. So the element of sound that is directly played by 𝗛𝗆𝗽𝗶𝗿 from Singapore, um, uh, old old friendship, but also I believe that he understand my practice and the way I develop the work, especially how I approach bodies to be placed in this kind of context, like on the stage. And we both actually learn a lot from the body without organ concept from Antonin Artaud, which is also a lot being used in understanding Buddha practice. But also, I like the transformation concept of being actor or dancer and then become that 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 create a body that is becoming. So the body is becoming something that we don't know, before. Like there's an extra energy that is uh, probably appear only through that moment and that space. So the sound work is very significant in this same level of awareness, using the capacity of the level of the sound, the capacity of or the weight, because I don't see sound as just melodic music that accompany dancers. So it should be a kind of a dialogue. Sometimes it match, sometimes not. It doesn't matter. But actually, I really love the practice of, for example, a traditional dance. It's called Pakarena, and it's from South Sulawesi, from Makassar. So when they dance, the Pakarena dancer dance, it is a dialogue with the drummers. So it's very intensive dialogue. How the drummers see the body and the movement of the dancer, and how the dancers move according to the sound that is produced by the drummers. So the dialogue is happening so that it makes a kind of a completion, and it's a dialogue. It's not just uh, music accompanying a dance piece. But also, music is very important when the element is particularly representing the inner world, the interiority of probably situation, and not just creating like a spectacle, but a sound that can how do you say, can touch you directly from your senses. And our auditive capacity, each people are different. That makes probably also interesting that through a live play, then each of the audience will perceive uh, differently according to their own auditive experience. So then how it will connect with the situation on the stage, with the dancers and the object. It depends also on the audience capacity to relate what is happening there. So I like to create a kind of a happening, not just a choreography piece for entertainment. Yeah, it probably will make you have a different kind of experience because uh of course it yeah, it talks about chaos, it talks about a death, it talks about disaster, about mountain, about our real reality that is probably not or not haven't been really um, taught, because people, okay, when the earthquake is there, then we have to save our lives by, or it depends on how in where we are, so there is a element of surrender to the situation, but there is also element of desire to survive. So is these contradictions, or these both choices, actually a very basic, a very essential, but we are very often forgetting it. Yeah. So in like how to express the sound of fear. So I think you and GY can do that. you know. Yeah.
So the following question is about dancers. You talk about your training background in traditional dance, Buta, and etc. But this time you work with dancers from both Indonesia and Taiwan. So were you
Mm-hmm.
looking for any particular physical qualities from the dancers? And can you also talk about their cultural and physical training backgrounds? During the rehearsal or workshops, did you adopt any particular training methods which allow the dancers to explore the inner memories and the sense of time?
Yes. So I have four dancers. One is Rajan. Rajan comes from Jakarta. His background is uh, like hip hop and modern dance, jazz, like that. And then he studied in Solo traditional dance, Javanese traditional, and he worked for my piece since 2018, and then um, very intensive working with me until now. There is Mika, or 𝗛𝗆𝗿𝗄𝗃, the only female dancer in my piece. Her background is also hip hop, but also studied traditional dance. But she's very curious about other methods all the time. So she came to my studio and learning the method I'm introducing. And there is Komang. Komang tree is from Bali, very fantastic young dancer and choreographer who is whose work basically traditional dance, but he explored contemporary practice that is based from Balinese dance. So how the element of traditional dance become a kind of a resource of contemporary practice in the dance. And then Yu Feng Lai, I know him since long time also, since 2019. And I like the way he interprets meanings. So he's very good dancer. He's trained by Yao Shufeng from CCDC Taipei, and he developed his own way to find a relationship between environment and the inner body, and how does it accumulated into a kind of a new approach of movement. And through my practice, which is compilations of different uh, exercises and understanding how to use the body, that is especially giving intention to work on the interiority rather than just the form. So it's a challenge for all the dancers, but actually after introduction to a different kind of ritual, body transformations, transcendental relationship between body and the environment, and how we actually take meanings of our presence with our body within a certain circulations or certain circumstances, certain conditions of life. So each this kind of characteristic of the four dancers are very important because they have different way of life. They have different way of seeing the world. They have different way of understanding what is actually life and death, what is actually a place we are living, which is called the universe, and what is God, and how dancers' body, being in the context of relationship with the nature, and with the human, and with the God, or the higher spirit. So I give a lot of respect and value to their own senses of for example, like if I say, so this part is actually uh, a part where you play, you understand the meaning of Garuda or Garudea, like the bird that is half human, half bird. That is happening a lot in our, uh, exists a lot in our mythology and ancient mythology, and also in the what is it, archaeological evidence. So the idea of half human, half animal, what is it, so then we learn together, and actually it's a language of knowledge, and to understand that this knowledge, that what we think we know, is actually as a long, 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 long way, so many centuries, until we develop an understanding of life, that it will also still develop further. So it's maybe young people only know Avatar, like as if it happens after the millennium, but actually it is already existing, like for example in the 8th century or 9th century, like this kind of figuration that is created uh, to represent something. So Avatar in Javanese culture, or people who live in Java, we are not very surprised, because in our temples there are a lot of avatars that is already created, in the before 14th century. And so yeah, to understand this corporeality, this understanding this representation, um, is not just from the form, but also the mainly actually the spirit. So how to move according to a spirit. So there are a lot of questions, and we discuss a lot, and I'm very happy to work with all four of them, and also Taiwan, Taipei, Taiwan, and Indonesia, especially Java. We experience a lot of this, our relationship through since our ancestors have experienced until today with the mountain, with the disaster. Yeah, a chaos that is not cannot be controlled by human. It's not because of thinking or whatever. It's something that is beyond our human capacity.
Yeah, I see that body in your work. It's not only about the form, but also the embodiment of history and even the accumulation of time. And it just reminds me of your past work that you are known for your durational performance, which is extremely physically and mentally challenging, I believe. But this time, lapse, the duration of lapse is only 90 minutes. So I'm wondering how you see the biggest challenge for your dancers in lapse.
It's quite how do you say? It's challenging for them because there's like no break, 90 minutes, and of course they are not moving all the time. Some is low tide, and then high tides, and sometimes how do you say, it's about managing the energy. So if I perform 12 hours, this experience is, of course, it needs certain kind of endurance. But what it keeps going on, it's because the mind is not staying just still. Because my mind is focusing on certain issue, and I follow uh, what is going on in my mind, what is going on inside, and sometimes questions appear, that what am I doing, but also like, uh, I'm doing this like representing many people doing their work every day for 30 years. People forget that we also have endurance to survive. Most of the people, this we sometimes forget to respect our own time, to see that we have actually endurance. We should be thankful because we endure our jobs, because we want something that is producing, or a kind of something that is keeping our pace. So the 90 minutes durational is very intense for sure, because uh in many cases, like stage pieces, like dancers do not appear the whole time on the stage, but this piece, like they are there 90 minutes long. So I guess for them is quite an interesting experience, but I think their spirit is very good. Each dancer have capacity to endure and believe that what they are doing is not just a show, but a kind of how do you say, is not, because a performance art is not a show. Performance art is behavior art. It's something that is symbolic. What I do when I grind charcoal for 12 hours is not just a show I can endure 12 hours, but it's a practice that is repetitively, and representing our routine, for example, our way uh, to survive in our life. And so each dancer have found their keynote inside, their keywords inside, to keep their endurance during the 90 minutes, according to their own personal experience, of course. Yeah, and this is interesting, I think. because sometimes imagination doesn't have to be the same like my their imagination is not probably the same with my imagination, but for me most important part is that they can keep their own imagination in doing doing the practice of the choreography. Yeah.
And the intense 90 minutes actually begins in an unique and unconventional way, with one of the dancer Razan guiding the audience from the outside into the theater. So how did you come up with this idea for the opening? And if we see it as a journey, how do we expect the audience to engage?
I think we sometimes see ourselves also as if we see ourselves in reality is like, for example, in now this is like this is me, and then that's you, so like that's him, that's her. But there is something that is particularly, how do you say, in my imagination. I have my alter ego. I think maybe everyone has this, so it depends on how they approach the other side of your ego. And so in this society, actually, there is an immense mystery of people that we that remains unpredictable or remains mysterious. And so Rajan, with his costume, appears in the next to the road, in the outdoor situation, as a picture of as a contrast picture of what is seen and what is unseen. Like maybe in Taiwan, we also believe in ghosts or spirits. Like in many Asian culture, we are very close to this imagination, but also the symbolic uh, representations of gods, like in the temples, or in like Hinduist temple or Buddhist temple, or which our ancestors have created. So we have certain imaginations of this god looks like this god look like this. So uh, personifications of spirit is something that I'm very interested. So Rajan will appear not as a spirit, but as something, as a presence of something that we probably miss, probably don't want to see, probably represent suddenly like something that is mm, it feels close, but what is it? So this something that is in between. So Rajan will appear as something, a figure that is representing something in between. You know what I mean? So like between you and me meeting on the street, there is something like what you speak. Sometimes you don't speak everything. You speak something behind also yourself, like, hi, how are you? I'm good. Good to see you. But then maybe you think, who was that? Or sometimes like there is like some disturb in between. Yeah. So Rajan will be a trigger to give people a moment to experience the outside, and then slowly giving time to enter the inside the theater. So I like to to have to give an opportunity for the audience to sense this, from the noise from outside, and then the feeling of space outside, and then going into inside, and then a very focused something, yeah, be there. So not just rushing from the train, and then rushing to the theater, and then sit and then watch. So but I like to give time to the audience to, okay, be with us and see also other audience, and then entering together into a space. it's a kind of not really like a ritual, but have the idea of kind of a ritual. Yeah. Like something like that.
Yes. And LAPSE premiered in Singapore in 2023 and was later
Mm.
presented at Asia Topa in Melbourne earlier this year. Now it will travel to Taiwan only a few weeks from now. But about the journey, it has already finished. Did you have any special experience concerning the performance or the audience feedback? And do you have any expectations for the upcoming performance in Taipei?
You mean like how I expect that how it should happen in Taipei, or
Or
like
how the audience about the audience feedback or maybe some interesting encountered with the
yeah,
audience.
I love to meet everyone. Like my audience, dance audience, not necessarily should be from the art scene, but also people who just curious. So, what is it to experience a happening in the dance context? But also, the best audience mostly also people who do not have, you know, expectations. So, if you expect a lot of things, maybe then it miss your expectation. So do I. So I'm also like, okay, we work very hard, and we prepare to present our best. Uh, but I don't expect too much because I realize that we are all human. Any failure can happen, any beautiful thing can happen suddenly, so then it's all relates together. Depends on the audience. The audience can also create an atmosphere because we are in the same space. It's not only depending on the performers. The audience also, energy is very important. The audience energy is super important because it gives also like, like a completion of a piece. And it's not just giving and receive, but it's like we are together. Yeah. So this is a very sensitive situation that I really love when I do a performance art or dance piece or installation, participatory pieces and this kind of thing. I respect really the energy that the audience bring, because lapse is happening because I observe a real situation on the street and in the market, in our surroundings, in the society. So I do respect the element of the presence of the audience as part of this society, the world society, and the human energy is really a big contribution for the peace. So, uh, yeah, please experience. If later we can maybe discuss because they're gonna be talk after show, and we can openly discuss about it. Yeah, I'm very open to listen to public opinion. Actually, yeah, in Singapore and in Melbourne, we had a very nice conversation with the audience afterwards, and also um, a lot of surprising statement from the audience. Yeah, because it's kind of some. I wonder, something. I haven't seen something like this, so some that should be something that is particularly probably new or different approach, maybe to the for the audience. Yeah.
But the work premiered in 2023 and it has traveled to many different places. So do you think the work
Mm.
also experienced some kind of transformation in itself?
Sure, because every time the space is different, especially the theater is different, the outdoor situation is different, and so I have to adjust together with the dancers and UNCY to adjust with the situation of the space. In Singapore, we have the studio annex, where we use more closer situation with the audience. In Melbourne, we have two wings of audience, two tribunes, and in TPEC it will be a black box. So different arrangement of the sound, of lights, or like it's gonna be it's always like that. But the intention, the concept, and the choreography, it doesn't change much. Yeah.
Yeah. And the following question is about the term rasa in Indonesia. Is it in Bahasa Indonesia?
Yes, it's in Bahasa Indonesia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it refers to feeling, emotion, or experience, which is often deeply connected to the senses, inner perception, and the rhythm of nature. What does rasa means to you personally, and what kinds of feelings or experience do you want the audience to take away from labs?
Yeah, because I'm respecting everyone. Every human has their own capacity of thinking and life experience and experience in perceiving what is happening in the world or in their surrounding. And so rasa is not just a feeling. Rasa is not cannot be literally translated into feeling, but it's more like a compilation between our intellectual capacity and senses, our cognitive experience and our immediate senses. Our sensory is very influencing the it's like a condition that is created by sensory our sensory and our uh, capacity of thinking, our intellectual capacity, our understanding uh, situation, and a lot of perceptions that is actually created by individual experience. So these immediate encounters, I think, how do you say, very important. And I think I don't mind if people cannot feel what is this piece about, and so, but there is something that is disturbing, so that this is already that is the rasa. I felt there is something, like, but I cannot understand, because we always try to urge ourselves to, when we see something, we want to understand. But for me, it's okay if you don't understand. You don't have to understand everything in this world, so, but then what you feel is like, okay, this is maybe just a condition that we now sense, and then later, because you remember the image, then maybe you will slowly get into the piece, not at the same time and at an immediate time. So I think rasa is something that is very generous, to open up people or people perceptions, people doors of perceptions, and later on maybe interpretation, and maybe something that is probably uh yeah, probably triggering someone to think about something else, so I'm very open um to present labs in a different or in many angles of perceptions, of interpretations and understanding, because I'm aren't you tired if you see theater and then you have to understand exactly what it is, But I think uh because our consumerism consumptive behavior in taking art is sometimes not fair. It's too much. Why do you have to understand what we do? People, it's an offering of, we offer something, and then some people like it, some people don't like. That's normal. Some people understand, some people don't understand. That's also okay. So, but rasa gives this other possibility, being in that time, being in the same space, to be connected with what you see just as it is, you know without having like a burden to understand everything. Yeah, it's honestly it's tough for many directors, choreographers also, and performance artists, also composers, that to make a piece that people must understand the same. No, people cannot understand the same like what we think, you know. So we sometimes also as creator try to make our piece being understood in our daily life. Sometimes we don't understand ourselves why this happened, you know. But in art making, of course, I have the reason. There is reasonable thing. But what I do, what other artists do, I don't have to understand what they do, but I accept, you know. So I don't understand some of Picasso's painting or drawing, like that. Why this time he make like this, that time he make cubism, that time he make a, or you know, like costume and choreography for ballet, and you know, different kind. But then maybe then 80 years later, 100 years later, I start thinking, or people start thinking, oh, that's Picasso's political behavior, to see that situation in Europe that time, you know, in the early 20th century. It takes time, and RASA gives this opportunity to take your time, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you talk about dancers as avatars. Do these characters maybe like have human or have spirit or
Yeah.
have animals? Do they have particular name on stage? And do you think that audience from different cultural background can easily recognize what they represent on stage?
Maybe the one that I thought half human, half spirit, or half human, half animal, or avatar. Maybe not the one that is having a different costume. You know, so but it would be like Mika and Yufeng, that their spirits of movement is based on the research on the half human, half animal spirits. So because you know, like Garudeya from the east, from Candikida, from the East Java temple, or ancient temple, I like it so much. It's a symbol of protection, but also Garudeya relieve his mother from being a slave. So a love of a son to the mother, you know. So and I think Garudeya is a symbol of love of children to the mother, because he relieved the mother from the slave, being a slave, from the suffering. Yeah. And also, Ganesha is not just a god of knowledge, but also and wisdom, but also a protection, protector. He protects us from suffering, from, for example, earthquake, from natural disaster, and so on. So there is a position of God that is personificated and animalicated, you know, like in two in one, but actually they are representative of a very uh, high wisdom and philosophy, you know. So I think this is the way how in our ancestors translate wisdom, uh, philosophy, and knowledge through figurative representation. And I think a lot of in the puppet shadow figures, or Mahabharata and Ramayana stories, actually it's not just a figures of human, but also multi-layered philosophical meanings. So, and I think this was a complication of knowledge and language, in different kind of culture in from our ancestors, but we miss it. Many of our younger generation, of my generation, already have been disconnected from this kind of way of seeing, which is, I think, very beautiful. You know, we are through colonial time, we tend to believe that is what we have is actually less value than knowledge from the West, you know. But actually, I love this way because, you know, it feels we are closer to the nature and the God and other human, and also learning about wisdom and philosophy of all of it, you know. And yeah, I'm getting more and more myself. Also was very far away from all of this, but the last 10 years I'm slowly taking my time to try to understand what we have inherited from our ancestors. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are running out of time, but thank you for your
Yeah.
time. It's a pleasure speaking to you. And sorry we don't have enough time for all the questions, but I believe if we go to the theater to see LAPSE, we can find our own answers. And LAPSE will be presented on September the 20th and 21st. I guess we'll see you there. So once again, thank you, Melati. Terima kasih, and have a
Thank
great
you so
day.
much. You too. Thank you. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.